Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, bringing you another video. This one's going to be doing another part to my, this is part 3 technically. I know I put part 4, but I'm just considering it being technically part 4. But basically this is a brand new thing of my Destination Springfield idea series. Yeah, this is the one. I haven't made any others thus far. I'm not too sure if there's any other locations that really have that much content. I'll have to go look over. But these are the main ones that these are all the main ones that I remember anyway from watching past episodes. So obviously I've done Australia, I'll just say Africa, because basically we may as well just call that Act Africa. I know I remember when a TV show called Preacher, it's a really good TV show, they released, a lot of people were really annoyed because it was like a location thing, and they did the location as Africa, and people saying that was offensive because they had the location as Texas. So why did they get so specific there, but not for Africa? But they could just call it Act Africa. I'm sure people get over it. Yeah, or Act Israel. Or Act Jerusalem, just Israel, just do the country, I'd say. I know we're doing a continent for Africa, but what are you going to do? Yeah, Act Israel, Act Africa, Act Australia, Act... and then the other 3 I did last episode. Anyway, moving on. Let's get into it. So basically, I got some new stuff for you guys that I think would actually be pretty useful for... like the actual how the event would go, and this is as good. I think the travel agents is a really good idea, and I like the idea of a travel agents being. But a cruise port would actually be pretty good as well. This would be pretty interesting. So of course we've got the Royalty Cruises, which is this big cruise ship. We've also got the alternative cruise ship here. Possibly you could send characters to either the cruise ship or the Port Springfield cruise parking. Maybe that might be a better idea. Or possibly the check-in area. I think really the check-in area would be the best thing to send the characters in. So send them to check in. And then when they check in, this ship not starts sailing, but it will start, all the lights will go on. I think a possibility though, which would be interesting, is if it literally just sails off. Just away, so you can no longer see it. That might be cool, and maybe we actually have like a little port. So this sits in a port, for example. So you have to have, it's not, you can't put this in the ocean. You have to have it sitting on the port, and then when you send characters to it, the boat just goes off, and you don't see it, and I think that would be interesting. I think this might be an interesting thing. So of course we've got the check-in area. This will be where you send the characters. The parking possibly could be just an extra decoration, extra building, or possibly could be where you do the crafting. And then you have this boat, and then this boat maybe can just be placed anywhere. Maybe this is the crafting, and all this will come with Rowan Pridis, who's obviously the cruise, the host of the cruise, who sits on this ship here. So that'd be really interesting. So of course we had Krogan's deals, so I've got Rowan's deals. So basically he'll give you some new, every so often you'll do some daily tasks and the currency, the postcards, which I think would be a cool currency. And then eventually he'll give you something. So the 3 acts that we're going to be doing, if you didn't really guess it already from the thumbnail, the 3 acts that we're going to be doing is an Act Iceland, which I think is really interesting, considering that Iceland's such a small country, and has such a small population. But they really could make a pretty solid act out of Iceland. Of course, Act Canada, where we'll be getting, obviously Act Iceland will be getting, in terms of Rowan's deals, we'll be getting the Icelandic Museum of National History. For his Canada act, we'll be getting a costume for Ralph, which is Canadian Ralph or something like that, and then Act Cuba, which I think is an awesome act for Cuba. I think there's plenty of stuff they can do for Cuba as well, and we're going to be getting Wheels McGrath. So let's get into it. So of course we're going to start off with Iceland. So first of all, this volcanic crater I think would be awesome, and a really awesome decoration for 40 donuts. The rented car, I think this maybe could be something that when you're doing the quest line, this is the first thing you have to build, because of course this is the thing that Lenny, Mo, and Homer drive in, and they're with it for most of the episode, so it makes sense to obviously have the rented car. We've got Sigrin, I cannot pronounce this second name, but Sigrin, anyway. I think she's also called Carlson. The family itself is called Carlson as well. So I think it's Sigrin Carlson. I'm not too sure where this name comes from, but this is the other name. It might be a middle name. Oh, this might be I'm not too sure, but whatever. Just call it Sigrin Carlson. A fairy for 15 donuts. Not as a non-playable, just as a decoration. But I do think that it would be cool if we got a group of these trolls for 25 donuts as NPCs. That'd be awesome, just a group of these like little trolls just walking around. It'd be really, really cool. We got, I'm going to butcher all these pronunciations, but we got Yuki's Grossfood for 50 donuts. Pretty cool little building there. And we got clothing for 70 donuts, another cool building, of course, 2 shop stores. So yeah, that's the store anyway. So we've got 1 character in the store, well, 2 characters in the store if you want, 1 being non-playable. Anyway, moving on. Now we've got Act Iceland, the prize track. So the first thing you'll get is the National Bank of Iceland. Pretty cool building. Of course, we actually didn't see this in the episode where they went to Iceland. It was actually in a different episode where we like sort of cut to Iceland randomly. We got Lenny's the Carlson family car, I guess we'll call it. Really nice looking car. That'd be pretty cool to get. We got the Iceland Hall of Records building we see briefly, but this is where obviously Carl gets the scribe that kind of talks about his family and his family history. We've got the hot spring pools or something like that, or the hot pools, I don't know what you're going to call it, or the hot lake or something like that. Basically, just because of course Iceland is very volcanic, so all the springs are very hot, whilst the country is very cold, all the springs are very hot. It's a really weird country. But yeah, that would be an awesome little decoration to have. Then we got the Carlson family home. A really cool looking house. Of course, this is in another Icelandic location. It does actually have an address, like its address. They could just call it by its address, or they could just call it the Carlson family home. I'd be okay with either. And then the final prize we get is Carl Carlson Sr. for as our final prize, which is just awesome. Of course, he's Carl's dad. Now, both of Carl's... I think the only problem with Iceland being an act is the characters aren't very solid. Like, these two... Like, we're completing a character... We're completing, this idea of, Carl's family, which is awesome to get. But... like I said, they're not really that solid in terms of characters, so I guess that's probably the one issue with this act. Anyway, we've got some crafting. So lots of cool crafting stuff. So first of all, we got the statue. This in Iceland, pretty cool. Got this other statue, Bjork, whatever. This is in the museum, but it was noted in the wiki, so I thought maybe that would be a cool statue. Got the tour bus, the Icelandic tour bus, which in a way looks a bit like an English tour bus, but whatever. We got these volcanoes. I think it'd just be awesome if we could place a volcano. I know we've already got one in the game, but another one would be pretty cool. Some more of these hot springs. One that looks a bit different. If we get just a few that look a bit cool. We've got Icelandic homes. Now, I'm thinking, like, all these look very similar anyway. So they could just have one. So you can just make one, and then you can make them over and over again if you want. But just having one, cool little different looking home, that's what I think is beautiful. Not beautiful. What's nice about doing Destination Springfield is, you can just have some different looking homes added in the game. That was one of my criticisms with all the homes. I would have liked it if we had a few more, so we can make our neighborhoods a bit bigger, so it looks a bit more realistic, instead of just having, 12 houses, and you've got over 200 characters, but you've got 12 houses. It doesn't really make much sense, does it? But, having some of these homes would actually be pretty cool. You got this town. I'm just going to call it the town hall because I think that's what it is. But yeah, this town hall looks awesome. Of course, they have like speeches right outside of it, so I presume it's the town hall. But it looks really, really cool. Really nice building. And then finally, this bone thing that was in. I think it's a whale bone. I'm not too sure, but it's in the town centre. Oh, and of course, the plane that they travelled on to Iceland. They can give us that as well. Anyway, moving on. So now we've got Act Canada. So I was kind of going for a cold theme here, but then I couldn't find another country that was really particularly that cold. So I went with probably the worst decision, which was Cuba. But yeah, but whatever. We're doing Act Canada. So first of all, we have Dudley Do Drugs for 60 donuts. Really nice decoration there. Really nice building, pharmacy building there. Really cool. We've got the Olympic Cafe for 50 donuts. Pretty solid building. We've got Mulhouse for 85 donuts. People probably say that's not really that great of a character. He was only there for a few minutes. He wasn't really that major of a part. And I know he wasn't, but I think it's a funny little spoof character to have. We've got the border guard for 30 donuts as an NPC. And when you tap him, he sort of tips his hat. That's what I want. It'd be pretty cool. And we've got the ski shop for 65 donuts. Nice kind of, rectangle of a building. Or it's more like a square. I don't really know. But whatever. That's really cool. I just wanted to mention with Canada, of course, like Fatov and the pin collector Lisa, stuff would all return. yeah, all that stuff from that whole Simpsons game thing would all return, because a lot of the stuff is actually from that mini event, and that mini event really could have been made much bigger. Like that, like if you look at the stuff, like all this stuff, for example, like why couldn't they add it all? And I know the Olympic pins, this is kind of running the game here. They could just re-release it as a prize, or give us another one. As in, like, so people who didn't get it and they missed that episode time would get an extra one. Would get two, and then we'd get an extra one. I think that's what I want for that, because I do definitely want another little one would be cool anyway. But I threw that in. But anyway, first of all, we've got the Olympic Village, which is basically like not a hotel, but just like a complex, like a bunch of houses basically. We got the Vancouver sign as a second prize, pretty cool. We got the the bobsleigh ramp. I think that's what you call it, bobsleigh, somehow. Ramp. I just think this is awesome. So they give us like this side of the mountain, and they give us this big thing and the big ramp. Be really cool. We've got the Olympic pins, like I already mentioned. I know I kind of remember this technically is in the game, but whatever. We've got the curling stadium. So this is where, of course, they actually do the curls. They curl the curls. So this would be awesome. The curling stadium, and then finally, this is a weird prize. We're getting the hut with the medicine woman. Now, I know the hut technically is in Alaska. It's not in Canada. So it's a bit of a weird thing to give us in, the Canada rack. And the medicine woman also was in Alaska in the movie. But in the episode, we actually saw that she's now living in Canada. She appears to be homeless, actually. But she's now living in Canada. I think it would be an awesome prize. I know it wouldn't technically completely fit in with this act, but I think it would be an awesome final prize, because we didn't get her in the Secret Agents event, which is where they added most of the movie items. But it would be perfect to add her in this one, and I definitely want her in the game, because I think she is a solid character, and I think she would make a solid addition. But they haven't really. There's not really anywhere they can really add her, but I think this would work. I really do. So I definitely think the hut with the medicine woman would be awesome. Or they could just scrap the hut. They didn't even have to give us the hut. That's just trying to get all the movie stuff. They could just give us the medicine woman. But she's now living in Canada. She's originally from Alaska, but it makes sense. Anyway, moving on. We've got some crafting, so there's loads of crafting here. So first of all, just a few of these pin stands, loads of these that we saw in the episode, so they can make any of these. We've got Paramount Studios. I think they could get away with this, because it's not like a clear, direct thing. I mean, it is clearly like they've taken it, but it's not. They have parodied the name, so I reckon they could get away with it. We've got this like totem stand thing, be awesome. We've got another statue here. We've got the Canada border, which I think would be awesome if we get. We've got the bobsleigh. The bobsleigh is like it's like on display, so that would be awesome. We've got the National Curling Trials and the National Curling Trials, and both of these stadium places here. So this is where they had two trials, obviously, where they were training people. So those two places would be awesome as well. Moving on. Oh, that's it. So yeah, these are two buildings, but more buildings. So there's only two characters in this one. Oh no, three characters. We've got Milhouse, the border guard, and of course the medicine woman. The border guard being non-playable. And I think it's okay to have non-playable, like actual, because a lot of the non-playables are like animals. I think it'd be alright if we had non-playables that were, actual people, like that guard, for example. He was only there for a bit. There again, Milhouse was only there for a bit, but there's some characters I think deserve, that work better with, tasks. Anyway, moving on. We've got Act Cuba. So, of course, I just wanted to quickly, like, the private hotel for 60 donuts, or whatever it's called. Technically, it wasn't a hotel. It's more of a restaurant, this, in the episode, anyway. So, I don't know why it's called the private hotel. I never actually watched the episode until a few days ago. But, yeah, 60 donuts for that. And then also 20 donuts for the car. Obviously, the car will return. With also the nice skin as well. Obviously, the wreck skin there. But, yeah, so the store for Cuba. Cuba's not as solid as an act, is because I think it's just a bit weak in terms of content. Just a few more buildings would be cool, but we haven't actually seen anything else. But I still think there's quite a bit, so let's go through it. So first of all, we've got Cuba's government building with Fidel Castro for 200 donuts. I think this is awesome. I think this would be really cool. And I know, of course, Fidel Castro is dead. Obviously, it's a lot of people don't like politics in the game, but it's not like it's massive politics. I mean, I think most of us can disagree that Cuba is not the best place in the world. Pretty shitty place, actually, and I think it was, I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, Fidel Castro, I think it would be a funny character to have in the game. I know he is dead. As long as they're not very disrespectful, it should be fun. We've got the Lighthouse for 50 donuts, another cool building. And then moving on, so we've got the communist ship. I'm just going to go no. We've got the ship that they came in on, which is really cool looking ship. I'd love to have that in the game. We've got the hotel they stayed in, huge hotel. This would be a really awesome building, really cool building, like really big and stuff. We've got just free. You get free flamingos as decorations. Maybe they can stand up, I don't know, or they can be like on the floor like they are in here. But free flamingos. The American embassy, which is inside Cuba, as the next prize. Again, we have a few embassies in these acts, but that would be cool. And then we have the first class lounge, which is awesome. Another really cool building. Of course, this is where all the old people go and dance and feel young again. So that'd be awesome. And the final prize is Isabella. A really cool character. Of course, she ends up being a CIA like secret agent, but it'd be pretty awesome to get her in the game. And then we have some crafting. So first of all, we have these like crappy Cuban homes, which would be awesome to get. Again, you can craft some more flamingos. We've got the birthplace of Mojito, whatever, that building. We've got the Welcome to Cuba sign. We've got the Cuba fountain, just a fountain, I guess. This massive like forest place with this escalator would be pretty cool as well. Yeah, so that's all the stuff. So anyway, and yes, I've got Gils deal. So quick Gils deal. So Gils deal, Antarctica, 200 donuts. You get all this stuff for 200 donuts. I don't know if that's a bit pricey. Maybe it is a bit pricey because you're not getting a solid character. But hey, whatever. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be 200 donuts. But yeah. So Antarctica would be an awesome Gils deal actually because, you know, it's like a miscellaneous location. You can't really do much with Antarctica. But anyway, you get the research station sign here. You get the Penguin Islands, or the not Penguin Island, the Penguin Penguin home. Basically, you get this massive iceberg-looking thing. It's going to be pretty big. You place it in the ocean, and there's just loads of penguins on it. I know we got something similar before with the little. We do have something similar, but this would be awesome. You got a penguin egg, and when you tap it, it will hatch with a little baby penguin popping his head out. Be awesome. You get like 2 of these or something like that, or 3 of these. The South Pole Research Center Station, really cool building, another cool building to have in the game. I really love the look of it. And then finally, you get a little penguin as a non-playable character. Awesome, I'd love it. It's just pretty cute, you know. Anyway, let's get into it. So these were the playable characters. So this guy, and I forgot his name, Rowan, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, Rowan. You got Milhouse. You got the Canadian Ralph. You got Wheels McGarth, whatever the heck his name was. You got Carl Carson Sr. We got Carl's mother. I'm just gonna call. I don't remember her name. Fidel Castro. You've got the Medicine Woman or the Boob Lady. I think that's another alternative name. I reckon they'll probably call it the Boob Lady, not the Medicine Woman. The wiki refers to her as the Medicine Woman. I feel like the game will call her the Boob Lady. And then Isabella. Yeah, so let's go. So, and then the non-playable, of course, the penguins, the trolls, and the guard. So let's go some tasks. So for this guy, Rowan, sing for 60 minutes, sentence shipmates for 4 hours on the ship, welcome guests, sing will be on the ship as well. Welcome guests for 6 hours, this will be him just on the little port that I talked about, him welcoming guests. Eat fried seagull for 12 hours, him walking around with a fried seagull eating it, and then film cruise video for 24 hours, this will be him looking all snazzy, running around town, you know, recording his video. And then we've got Ralph's costume. Pretend to be the law for 60 minutes. This will be at the border with his costume, you know, wagging his finger and stuff like that. Help out Dad for 4 hours. Him at the police station with Chief Wiggum. Attend cultural event for 6 hours over at the school. Get out of costume for 8 hours over at the Wiggum house. Recite Canadian anthem for 12 hours over at the Wiggum house, and then control the border for 24 hours again at the border. Canadian border, just him acting all tough. And we've got Carl's dad. Hide from the country for 60 minutes, will be him hiding in his home. Buy new clothes for 4 hours over at obviously that clothes store. Check bank account for 6 hours over at the Iceland bank. Shake hands with residents for 12 hours. This will be a weird task. Him, a bunch of people will like sort of just pop out of nowhere, and you'll just be shaking their hands. Save the family name for 24 hours over at the Hall of Records. And then we got Sigrid, or whatever her name was, Carl's mum. Hide from the country for 60 minutes over at the house. Visit town hall for 4 hours over that town hall. Ponder why she married a Carlson for 6 hours. It'd be a funny thing. This whole idea that the Carlsons are this horrible family. Well, why the hell would this woman marry a Carlson then? I feel bad for her. Well, she'll just be in the home. Cook family dinner for 8 hours over at the home. I know that's a bit sexist, but she's in an apron. She looks like she's in an apron, so I just presumed, I made a presumption that she's probably going to cook dinner. Update museum. Visit Carl for 12 hours. This will be probably like a brown house with Carl. And then update museum for 24 hours over at the Iceland Museum. Milhouse, get wrapped up for 60 minutes. It'll be him and probably probably a brown house again. Meet American Milhouse for 4 hours over at the Milhouse house with Milhouse. Collect medication for 6 hours over that Canadian pharmacy. Watch curling for 8 hours over at the curling stadium. Commit pranks with Bart. I don't know why I use the word commit. But commit pranks with Bart for 12 hours over at the Simpsons house with Bart. And get it beat up for 24 hours. This will be a cool thing. It'll have the Canadian Nelson just beating him up. So you're getting like a 2-in-1 in some ways, like Maggie used to be in animation for Marge. And then you have the medicine woman throat sing for 60 minutes. Pretty cool thing. Smoke pipe for 4 hours. Another cool one. Rescue people trapped in snow for 6 hours. This will be her again walking around. Make medicine for 8 hours inside the hut. Show people a vision for 12 hours. Again, this will be in the hut. And then recap with Homer for 24 hours over at the Simpsons house. Really cool tasks. They could make some cool ones, I guess. We have Wheels McGarth. Cut down vines for 60 minutes. Him with a machete just chopping down those vines and before where you saw. Host secret club for 4 hours over that club thing I talked about. Drinking bar for 6 hours. This will be in the hotel. Wheeled rifle for 12 hours, him walking around with his rifle. And report back intel for 24 hours, probably at the town hall, I imagine, or something like that. Or maybe the police station. And then we have Isabella, clean up bar for 60 minutes. Of course, she was also a barmaid in disguise, wasn't she? So, she would have a few bar tasks, yeah. But clean up bar for 60 minutes. Report intel for 4 hours. I don't know what that could be. Spy on the Cuban government for 6 hours. This will be in the Cuban government building. Shift at the bar for 8 hours. Again, another cool one at the hotel. Dance with Abe for 12 hours. Her and Abe just dancing around town. I think that'd be beautiful. And then fly home for 24 hours. She'll go in the club, and this will like trigger a special animation for the building where the plane will actually just disappear from the little hangar. Or maybe that could just be the animation overall. Like when someone goes into the hangar where that club is, the plane just disappears. Maybe that could just be the animation. And then finally we got Fidel Castro. We gotta give him tasks. So give speech for 60 minutes. Him giving a speech. Abandon communism for 4 hours. It'll be at the government building. It's something he said. I know people argue, oh no, it's socialism, but he said in the episode, we got to abandon communism, so that's where I've got it from. Stock up on cigars for 6 hours. This will be him going to the Quickie Mart, which will be a funny one. Run country into the ground for 8 hours, again, over at the government building. Smoke cigar for 12 hours. This will be a cool one, him just smoking a cigar. And then meeting with Mr. Burns for 24 hours. Him and Mr. Burns over at the Cuban government building doing their meeting. So awesome. I think this would be a really cool, again, free news. Oh god, I went way too far. I showed you all the old ones. But I do think this would be a really cool, solid act. I really do think so. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, subscribe, tell me your thoughts. What other buildings do you think I should act, and then what other countries do you think I've missed? I may do a part 4 to this series, and it's technically a part 5 overall, but I don't know. I might not have enough stuff, but I'll have a look anyway for you guys. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this edition, and yeah, I'll see you next video. Goodbye.